Hey everybody, I'm eagerly waiting for the new book, Sunrise of the Reaping. I've pre-ordered it. I'm waiting for it in the mail, so please no spoilers. I reread the first three original books and purposely focused on the Haymitch character, so that way the character would be fresh when I go into this new book. If you did not have time to read those books, I will provide a Cliff Notes version for you. So we are going to start off with the original Hunger Games. Starting from there, Haymitch is the 50th victor of the Hunger Games. He survived his quarter quell. He is the only surviving District 12 victor. So with that is a catch 22. There have been no other successful victors since Haymitch. So every year he is going up there and watching these kids fail. And with that comes a lot of mental turmoil. But the catch 22 to that is that he's a constant fixture for the Capitol because every year he's appearing before the camera in that mentorship role. So he's a constant fixture. People know him. People know a little bit about his character. But with that is what he went through for his Hunger Games, which really isn't talked about in the first book, but we expect that he struggled and did some really harmful things in his Hunger Games. On top of watching other children fail, his mental health is abysmal. He is an alcoholic. And the first exposure we have to him is before the names are called. He stumbles up onto the stage. He's yelling incoherently. He tries to give Effie a hug. After Katniss volunteers as tribute, the rest of District 12 does the three finger, and Haymitch starts yelling, and he stumbles and he falls off the stage, instantly taking the camera away from what the District 12 people were doing in honor of Katniss and focusing it on him. Now, first read through, I immediately thought that just drunk. But the second time, I know a little bit more, and I'm like, did he purposely do that? Because he was trying to take the extra target off of District 12, off of Katniss, because that three-finger show of respect was defiance of the Capitol. And you don't defy the Capitol without retaliation. And Haymitch is aware of that, so he put himself in the spotlight and made a fool of himself in order to take the spotlight or the attention off of Katniss and Peeta. But that's just my guess. Let me know what you think. So moving on to right before the actual games, when they are on the train ride to the Capitol, Katniss and Peeta have their first mentorship experience with Haymitch, and he is, of course, sloshed. And Peeta confronts him, and Haymitch punches him in the face. And then Katniss takes her knife out and stabs between the fingers. And Haymitch says, "Oh, I might actually have some fighters this year." Peeta then goes to provide treatment to his bruised face, and Haymitch says, "Don't treat it. Make it look as rough as possible. It is against the rules for tributes to fight each other before the actual games. And what we want to do is make it look like you did get in a little bit of a skirmish and you got away with it. So that way the Capitol and the rest of the tributes think that you're a little bit of a rebel and you can hold your own." Already starting to lay the groundwork of how everybody perceives you is what really counts. So the next stage of that is when they are on the chariot together, Katniss and Peeta, and they hold hands, and Katniss is waving and they have their beautiful costumes, and the girl on fire comes up. Peeta goes and says, "Whose idea was it to hold the hands and wave?" He said, "It's the perfect amount of rebellion." So we get a little bit of a touch that Haymitch is got a little bit of spice to him. He is all about making sure that you know your limits. You don't want to tick off the Capitol. You don't want to put a target on your back unnecessarily. But something as innocent as holding hands and showing a united front sends a message to the people out in 12, out in the districts, that they are friends. They are not wanting to kill each other. They are a united front, which sends a message to the districts of unity. But to the Capitol, it may be ignored. It's not enough to throw any alarms. Also, for Haymitch, he coached the kids to not show their true strengths in the training area. Hold on to your true strengths once you get before the game makers. We don't want to give away to the other tributes what you're actually going to use to your benefit during the games. Peeta's was the weights, lifting, and Katniss was, of course, archery. So with that, when Katniss got ticked off that the game makers were ignoring her and she shot the arrow through the little window thing and hit the apple and the pig, she was really ashamed. She knew she messed up. She went back to Haymitch and told him what happened. And he kind of gave her a little bit of peace. He told her that in order for everybody in the Capitol to be made aware of it, they would have to own up to what happened. And they would have to tell everybody what happens in the game maker room stays in the game maker room. So out of their own shame, I don't think they're going to do it. But again, they are the game makers, Katniss. So you ticked them off. You're going to have a target on your back, and they're going to make your life in the games absolute misery. Now we are at the actual Hunger Games. So the advice to Katniss and Peeta before they went in were 3 things. Avoid the cornucopia, run, find drinking water, stay alive. That was the advice he gave them. And that was the first advice he gave them on the train when he was sloshed out of his mind, was stay alive. But he provided the first 2 right before they went in to the games. Now, also, it was very, very smart of him to use his mentorship role as a method of communication. So what he did with the communication was Katniss was wanting water. She was dehydrated and she was begging for water. And Haymitch held off. And Katniss came to realize that he was withholding the water because she was obviously close. So she kept looking and she found it. Now, again, the communication was once Katniss and Peeta got together and they were alone and they were obviously ill, very malnourished. They then kiss and Haymitch then sends a thing of stew. So it's put together that one kiss gets you stew. What else do I have to do to get a full-blown meal? And they figure that out by telling emotional stories about their childhood and things like that. And then they get a full-blown meal. Now, were they telling those stories just to deepen the true love aspect, the long-lost lovers? I don't know. Or was it that they were painting it to the Capitol that these are human beings? These people have feelings. They're just because they live in the districts, you view them as less than human, and that's how you make it okay in your mind to have them battle to the death. But Haymitch was purposely doing what he was doing, I think, to then make them remind the people in the Capitol that these are human beings. They have emotions, they have feelings, not just killing. They can experience love, they can experience heartbreak, but you don't see love and heartbreak in a battle to the death. So now we are at after the Hunger Games. after Katniss makes the big defiant move to the Capitol with the berries. After she comes out, Haymitch approaches her and comes in and gives her this hug. Mind you, he's not an emotional person, so immediately Katniss's alarms go up. He comes in for the hug and he whispers to her, "You got a target on your back. You've really done it. The Capitol is beyond livid with you. You need to do damage control. You need to go in there in front of everybody and you need to sell that you did what you did out of pure love and love made you crazy. That this was not an act of rebellion and you need to get it together and you need to get it quickly because the Capitol is lethal." And then she goes on stage and she really tries to sell the plot. But Haymitch is all about making sure that the Capitol gets a show. Doesn't matter if what you are showing is correct or not. That's why he encouraged Peeta to do the lovesick boy over a girl who may not return the feelings, but that he's been a lovesick puppy and he's so distraught over not having her. And his whole line to Katniss was, "It doesn't matter if it's real or not. The Capitol bought into it." He said, "You were not interesting until Peeta did what he did." He said, "I don't care if it's real. You need to sell a line to these people if you want to live. You put up a front in front of them and you keep your real self behind." And I think that's what Haymitch is all about. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to manipulate. He knows how to strategy. He's incredibly smart. And that's why he won his game. So stay tuned for my review of Book 2, Catching Fire.